Hey, Chris Taylor from Actionable. I'm excited to be coming at you with this update because once a year we do an annual insights report where basically we take all the data that sits inside the Actionable Change platform and identify themes, trends, interesting pieces that you as a driver of people development programs inside organizations can leverage. And so we launched this up again this year. This is our fourth or fifth year doing this report. And this year we went a little bit different, where we chose to focus on what we came to call impact agents. Now, these are people who are deploying programs that are having above average adoption and ultimately impact in regards to employees, participants realizing behavior change. We chose the term impact agents because you've heard change agents used in a number of different places. And for us, change is great, but change to achieve what end? For us, it's about impact aligned with the objectives of the program and ultimately the organization. So what I thought I'd do in this video was give you a bit of an insight into what a difference it makes to be an impact agent and some of the specific tactics that impact agents are doing more consistently or to greater effect than some of their counterparts might be. Give you a little bit of context on the data set we're working with here. Last year on the platform, there was 870 programs launched. We're pulling data from 39,000 participant commitments to behavior change. So these are typically employees who are on the receiving end of a program, might be leadership, might be culture program, strategy activation, health and safety, could be really anything, where the organization and the program stakeholders want to, yes, help people understand why change is required, but actually to make change happen, to effectively shift behaviors as a result. And so as I get into the report, and you can get a copy of this in the vault on the main Actionable website under resources, get your own copy so you can comb through it. What I really wanted to hit on was this. Two key metrics that when combined create really order of magnitude greater impact, lasting change, ROI of programming on the programs that they're driving. One is around adoption. You've got an employee base and they're participating in a program. What percent of them are choosing to take action in a visible, meaningful, measurable way following a learning session? Impact agents see 12% greater adoption than their counterparts who are not doing the things that impact agents are doing, which I'll come back to in a sec. Now, 12% may not sound like a substantial amount, but if you put this across, 1,000-person organization, and you've got an extra 120 people that are taking action, that are shifting behaviors as a result of the program, that creates ripple effects. Are those 120 people client-facing? Are they in leadership roles? Where does their shifted behavior impact other people in your ecosystem? This can create quite a ripple, and it's definitely worth paying attention to. But the sort of slam dunk metric is that impact agents see a 44% greater lasting behavior change impact with their people than their counterparts. 44%. So that's huge. So what are they doing differently? Well, this really breaks down into a couple areas. One actually happens before the program even starts. And this was really telling for us that it's not just about what happens in the room or in the facilitation or even between sessions in supporting participants in realizing change, but it actually starts from the design phase of the program. How are you designing your program in the first place? Well, let's get into some of the specifics. So what's actually happening in here? Well, one is the actual content to context ratio. That's what we've come to call it. Basically, this idea that for every 20 minutes of content, you want to allow at least an hour for the participants to digest, reflect, discuss the so what, the relevance of that content for them in their role today, for their team, to really give them time to sink in. 3-to-1 is the minimum ratio that you want to see. We've seen with impact agents anywhere from 3-to-1 to 5-to-1 ratio. So 5-to-1, again, putting it in context, if you've got an hour block, it's 10 minutes of content, 50 minutes of discussion, digging in, digestion, before putting it into practice. So this was one of the key things that impact agents do differently. It's almost a direct inverse of what we so often see in content design, where it's so content heavy, minimal time and expectation around helping individuals find relevance. With, I think the hope, the assumption that people will do that after the session, but we know everyone's busy. You're never going to have people more engaged with the content as they will be in the session itself. So key point number one, giving them that 3-to-1 or 5-to-1 ratio. There's some other pieces with outcome design, which I'm going to sort of gloss through right now, but definitely worth checking this out. And I'll come back to some of these in future videos. The other component, though, beyond outcome design is sustained application. What this means is applying the resources, the time, the energy to supporting people between content blocks as much as in the session itself. Right? So often, most of the budget, most of the focus goes into what's going to happen for the participants in the room between start and end of that session. Then there's going to be a time block. We're going to send them some content. We're going to encourage them to do coaching calls, etc. But there's very little consideration to the daily practice, the daily application of what's happening for individuals. And so this was the second big shift, was moving into sustained application and really focusing on a daily practice, a single daily practice. You can see here that the number of times that someone interacts with the platform, in this case using Actionable, there's almost a direct correlation between volume of check-ins and average rating change. We extrapolate back from this to say the whole point with this is not around interacting with Actionable, but about the participant engaging in daily practice and reflection, micro reflections. So this connection to, when you give people a block of content, give them time to discuss and think about application, far too often we see the intended application being, exception based. So what I mean by that is, when I see this bad thing happening, or when I feel triggered by, or when I have a disgruntled client, or whatever the exception is, it's not the norm, it's not the rule. It's well intentioned, giving people tools to deal with those high stress moments. And it's, it can be powerful if they remember to do them. The challenge is if I attended a session 3 weeks ago and I'm now being triggered, I'm in a heightened emotional state, I've got fight or flight response kicking in, the probability of me remembering the tool when I haven't practiced it is much lower than if we can create a daily practice, something that they can build a muscle around by, getting a reminder, a prompt of that thing, having a chance to reflect on their progress on it, and then actually journaling about the experience. So it's not even enough to go to, once a week I'll do this. It's really moving towards daily. Based on your content, what's the thing or things that they could apply in a daily practice, and what does that actually look like? Again, lots of things in here. We looked at 8 levers for sustained application, there's lots of good stuff in here. The key point being, if you do one thing from a sustained application, how do you build a feedback loop for the participants around practicing something from your session on a daily basis? Lots of other good stuff in here. Again, I think it's our best report yet. Lots of practical takeaways. I'll come back to some of this at a later date, but I just want to get that off to you and just acknowledge the fact that there is a process, a methodology by which you can build improved impact, sustainable, reliable, bankable impact on your people development programs. Hopefully you found this useful. I look forward to jumping back in next month with some more tips for you. Until then, cheers.